already.
The joys of video conferencing.
Yes, absolutely. I see your fishy is up and about doing his exercise.
Yeah, yeah. That should be all right, shouldn't it?
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's all good. I usually have little beings running around anyhow, so fish don't bother me at all.
I'm also like as a process of improving the the workings of it. It's still a work in progress, so I will be making changes to my office and stuff like that. But it is what it is at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. I'm really excited to have you talk about time management and being in control of time, because start of the year, everyone wants stuff to do. Everyone's got goals. And then one of the big things, because I did a big, a goal setting session with our team.
Yeah.
About, what are the things that you want to do differently. And everyone's like, I want to procrastinate less.
Yeah. And if anything, is proving to be, we're day 13 into the new year. What a start.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the world, a lot of people say, 2020 is finished, and they were so excited at 2021. And then we started off with, again, the borders closing, and then the really interesting news coming out of the States, which just mind-boggling stuff.
Oh goodness, it's yeah, to a certain extent, I sort of feel, I mean, I'm not a big TV watcher, and often as well, the stuff that goes around in the States, personally, I sort of block it out.
Yeah.
Like, it's just noise in the background. It's good entertainment for anyone that's not affected by it. It's entertainment, but yet we, for us personally, as if we've got personal goals, if we just need to be able to focus on what's in front of us. And that's why I think what we're going to be talking about, again, even for my team, they were like, this is so timely. We're going to be having useful tools and strategies that we can put in place to be really time efficient.
So the things I want to cover is less stress.
Yes.
So why is managing your time important? Is less stress.
Yeah. Creates
efficiency, and in my view, it's one of our most important resource.
Yes.
And we've all got finite time. We've only got 168 hours per week, and one of the key things I've seen in successful people is that they value their time and they manage their time accordingly. So they have a real value around it, from a value to themselves, but also a value on the monetary front.
Excellent. Do you have a call to action that you'd like to direct people to, apart from?
The call to action would just be to connect with me.
Okay, that's the website, releaseforlife.com.
Yep.
And if they want a I like this, uncover $10,000 in your business in under 45 minutes. Strategies to save time, upscale your business. Love it. And you can book in.
Yeah, so I'll offer a 45 minutes review, where typically I find extra revenue, 50,000 or more, and within that also time efficiencies and gains.
Love it. I might have to do that.
And the 7 key strategies is to set goals that are time bound. So your goals need to be time bound. You need to focus on the old 20-80% rule, where 20% of your action brings in 80% of revenue. So you really focus where you should actually focus your time. And a lot of people don't understand that and don't really get a grasp. So it's super important to spend time where you're going to get the best return for. Yes. Spending 6 hours, 8 hours to design that perfect template or that perfect, post is important, but do you need to spend 8 hours? Especially if you're in a position to outsource that.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's exactly, and this is exactly what it is that we're all about. For us to be able to grow, we need to be able to relinquish control of things that are not providing the highest impact.
Yep.
That 80% impact when we should be spending 80%. But you said
yeah. And another one, learn to say no.
Yeah. Yes.
Which you know, not to be gender biased, but for women can be a real challenge because you know, the societal pressures to be givers, and the sometimes they run out of time to actually look after themselves, and you can't look after others if you've got an empty cup.
It is so true, and I've noticed that even more obviously as a working mother, and seeing other women in the space. They're constantly going, oh, I don't look after myself. You know, I put my children first, my husband, my business, and everything, and then I don't even know that I've eaten or whichever. And I'm going, and I'm like, I used to be in that position, but now I realize I have to put myself first. And if I need to exercise, if I need meditation time, if I need this, like this is my time. You guys need to respect it.
And to be able to say that, you have to learn to say no to other things, which can be really, really challenging.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think if we touched on that, I think also from your target audience, I think that'd be good, because I've seen that with my partner. I saw that with my parents. I have real, you know, as a kid, I used to hate Christmas. Now that's really odd for a child to not like Christmas, but because my parents were in the service industry, and by the time Christmas came along, they were absolutely drained. Yeah. They had nothing left in the tank. Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, the only thing they want to do is sleep. And as a child, I didn't understand that. I only understood that later on as an adult. But I did not find Christmas very that pleasurable. On the other hand, I loved Easter.
Yeah, right.
Because my parents had a longer break, and it was far more enjoyable from that point of view. Yeah. It's also within the plan contingencies, because no plan goes according to plan.
Yes.
That's just reality of life, right? It's not like that. It's like that, and as long as you go up.
Yeah. And then on that point, what are the strategies or tools we have in place personally that can deal with those unexpected events? We talk about stress again.
Yep.
You know, how do we
so it's to me, it's really about measuring performance, and really know where you need to focus your attention. So it goes back to that. And the big one is tracking your time. So to start off, like, actually do analysis where you actually spend your time, and just that alone, it is one of the key strategies, you know. And all my clients to date have been down-funded by, I said, right, you've got schedule, you've got 168 hours. How many hours do you actually sleep per day? Yeah. Booking those hours. Those hours are super important, right? What time do you usually go to bed? Oh, well, I go to bed at 10:30, and what time do you wake up? I wake up around 7. Well, those hours are blocked out. You're not going to do anything during those hours apart from sleep.
Yeah.
Now, how many hours do you spend cooking and preparing meals for your family? And then, oh, okay, all right, so block those out. And then they go, shit, I've only got this much left during the day to be for my business.
And then you throw in family obligations, children, this and that, and things like that. How can we utilize the effective time that we have and leverage that as best as we can?
And then there's the old classic. How much time do you actually spend working on your business rather than in it? Because two different mindset. One is operational, and one is strategic and tactical, and very different. So they're the things I think we can have a conversation around and build
absolutely
a dialogue.
Cool. All right. So I'm just going to set up the Facebook Live.
Yep.
I hope you've got your beverage of choice. There we go. Water. Good old water.
And a deep breath.
Is this your first Facebook Live for the year?
No, yes, it is my first Facebook Live for the year, but I have done a couple of these before. The ones I've done have been taped, so and then sent out.
This will be recorded. So what?
Yep.
Also edited. I will send you a copy.
Cool.
I'm trying to tag you here on your I'm just how do I pronounce your surname correctly?
Roubaud.
Roubaud. Okay. Business coaching. Excellent day. Alrighty, we're ready to roll. Let me get my lighting correct. Okay, let's go live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Virtual Coffee on the Growth Hub Global. This morning, I have a very, very special guest, and I love to kick off a brand new year with some action taking. So, Marc-Andre Roubaud from Release for Life Business Coaching. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and Happy New Year, Cheryl, and Happy New Year to the people who are watching. What a start to the year, huh?
Awesome. I mean, we've had a goal setting session on our team. I know a lot of people, January, it's just it's a cultural thing. It's a tradition, right? Everyone sort of looks at it and goes, all right, new year, you can start goals anytime, but really most people go, all right, we've got January, let's do a 12-month goal setting or whatever it might be. But the main thing I found, and even in the session that we had as a team, that really came up was a lot of us, one of the things that we don't want to procrastinate so much. We want to be more efficient with our time, and we want to be able to take control of our time, which is what this session is about. And I'm really excited because I know, I profess I'm a procrastinator. There are times I'm like, oh, I really don't want to eat that frog. I don't want to do that thing first. I could be doing something else, but then I look at my day, I'm like, I should have, I could have. Yep. I would have. And did I make use of the time that I had efficiently? And this is where, again, we're going to share some tools, some strategies, your thoughts around how we can be more in control of our time and do more.
Yep.
Leverage our time, make this year an absolute success.
So the first thing is the fundamental thing. In goal setting, the goals need to be time bound. So, they need to be smart and they need to really connect to your why. They need to link back to, why that is important to you, Why is, exercising important to you? Why is business growth important to you? Because it's just a vehicle to get to wherever you want to go and be, right? So it touches into your core reasons of being. If you're not doing it for yourself, that's going to be, achieving that goal is going to be even more challenging. And by and large, most people make, New Year's resolution and goals, and by March or even before that, how many people are actually, on track or measuring it or doing anything around it? So the first thing is, in my view, it's very much about understanding that there's two options. You can control your time, or you can be managed by your time. And as you pointed out, we all face those challenges. It's just the nature of the beast. But there's ways around being more efficient and creating less stress. And in my view, time is our most important resource, because once it's spent, we can't get it back. If you make a wrong decision in life or in business, you usually got time to recoup that money, right? There's ways that you can actually create more or adjust. But once you spend that time, you can't get it back. Yeah. So it's very, in goal setting, it's very important, in my opinion, to make them time bound and actually to create a system around to measure and to calculate and to track how well you are performing to that goal. Because, you know, we all make plans and we all have things in place, but unless we actually measure our performance and track how we're going, how do we know that we're anywhere achieving that goal? And let's say that you have a business goal and you want to increase your revenue by X amount, and you get to that goal, right? You achieve that goal. Another thing is important is to actually achieve it and understand why you've achieved that goal, and then raise the bar. So if you reach to X, why not go to Y? And then, you know, that's that ongoing, constant goal setting, achieving. And if you're not achieving that goal, really understanding why that is. And around managing time, there's, you know, I mentioned that times needs to be set a time around that, you know, by such and such a date, I will have achieved X, Y, Z. That is really important to me because of, and then it can be, you know, whatever it is for you, right? It could be more time to spend with your friends, more time to spend with your family, or purely the quality of life that you lead. And you know, those things are all important to us. You know, what's important to you?
Oh, absolutely. Relationships. So whether that's relationships with my children, my husband, family, you know, my extended family,
Yep.
Asian family. So, you know, you've got everyone's your family, and definitely my friends and personal relationships. So I'm very much a social networker, but making sure that I was going to say spreading my time, but really having enough energy and the resources to do that well.
And I think what you describe is most of us, right? I don't think what you said would resonate with the people viewing this or watching this in the future. Now, how many times have you seen business owners really having time constraints where they can't do that?
All the time.
Because they're not in control of their time, they're not in control of their business, and instead of managing the business is managing them. So, you know, I like to donate some of my time, and I've structured my life so that I can actually do that. And one of my passion is football, and the round ball football. So, you know, sometimes I'm a coach, and but you know, I'm on the sideline and I'm watching parents watching their kids, but instead of watching their kids, they're on their phone, you know, answering business calls, or they're not in the moment. They're not enjoying that moment because they're thinking about other stuff, and whatever's going on in their life, they haven't prioritized their time to value their time. You know, I've seen parents miss their kids' goal because they were on their phone. You know, daddy, did you see that? And oh yeah, it was great, wasn't it? But I know that they're and how many of us have, you know, in business have been on a holiday, but instead of enjoying the holiday, we've been thinking about our work. You know, the business in the background, because we haven't put things in place to really be in control of our time, and really knowing that if I'm not there, it's okay, it's on control, it's still growing. I've put structures in place that my team, you know, is managing the process, so that I can really enjoy just a beautiful holiday with my partner, my family, or just whatever it is, you know, even yourself, right? Just enjoying that time where you can actually embrace that moment, you know, watching the perfect sunset, sunrise, you know, that drink by the bar, whatever it is, right? And that's, to me, is really important. How do you get there? You know, that's right. So we talked about, you know, what's important, but how do you get there? Well, we mentioned setting goals that are time bound, and keeping track and measuring your performance against those tracks, and putting in place countermeasures to close that gap, you know, so you know that that's where the goal is, that's where you're at, and you're getting ever closer to it. The other one is really understanding, you know, the old Pareto analysis, where 80% of your income or your activity comes from 20% of what you do. It's really understanding where the value in your business is coming from. So really driving into your data, driving into what you do, to really understand what is the most important thing that you're doing in your business, and getting an understanding of that, and then spending more time doing that. So
just on that, sorry,
Yeah.
how do we determine what is the 20% that we need to be spending our time on?
So,
Because to be honest, we all, especially, sorry, it's
yeah.
solopreneurs, right? Solopreneurs, we're like, we're the only ones. We're, we've got to do 100%. Like, how do we just focus on that? Because that needs to be done as well.
So let's say that you're a solo entrepreneur and you're selling a product, that's probably one of the easiest one. It's to have actually a product or service, and you've got multiple of products or services that you're selling. Just have a look at the one that's the most popular.
Mm.
So if service A is more popular than D or E, then okay, what am I doing about A, and what do I need to do more of to get more of A? Because that's where most of your revenue is coming from. And understanding what actions you're doing in terms of your time, your processes, and everything associated with business to get more of that.
And do you find for a lot of solopreneurs, because they're like, well, I just want all the business, that they actually have trouble going, do I really just want to focus on that thing? Is this something that comes up for business owners?
It does. And again, it goes back to, we've got 168 hours a week. You can't, there's things that learning to say no, and we touched on this in our pre-conversation, learning to say no about certain things. You sometimes, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, it's impossible to do everything. And more to the point, it's impossible. I'll challenge anyone to contradict this, but it's impossible to be an expert in everything.
Yeah.
So if you're a solo entrepreneur, there will be specific skills that you're really good at, and others that you're sort of okay at, and others that you probably need help with. So, and the solo entrepreneur journey is not an easy one. But let's say that you're a solo entrepreneur and you're getting traction and you get to a point where you can actually outsource stuff. That's one way that's one way to maximize your time, is to start outsourcing. First thing, the things that you don't like doing and that you're not particularly good at, and that don't necessarily are important to your business, but don't necessarily add value to it. For example, the classic is doing your tax, right? So doing your tax is super important for a business, right? But most of us outsource that to a bookkeeper or an accountant. It's still super important, and there's a few people who like doing that, especially accountant and bookkeeper, and and God bless them, but you can outsource that.
Yeah.
Now, let's say that you're particularly good at doing, the pretty designs on Canva and all that stuff. You can outsource that. You're still in control, but you outsource it. It's still important to your business, but is that the most important thing for your business? Probably not.
Yeah. And this is what we're obviously an outsourcing agency. We have virtual assistants, and that's what we often speak to our business owners about. Like, what are the tasks? What was the whole range of tasks that you do? And let's rate them according to high impact and low impact tasks. And you talk about the 80-20. What are the high impact tasks, which is the 20% that you need to be focusing on, that either you're really, really good at, that brings in the money, and that you have the expertise to do. Like, work out what that is, and then the 80%, work out how you can have someone delegate that to someone else. And I find even with solopreneurs, because the interesting thing is business owners go into business wanting to create a level of freedom for themselves, right? Yep. But the truth is, we all know the truth is so different. So the truth is that we are, as even solopreneurs, we shouldn't be solopreneurs. We're under-resourced. Like, true freedom.
Absolutely. It's the classic, I've left working 38 to 40 hours to work 60 or 80 plus. Yeah. And I said to myself, I have a business. Well, you do, but in my view, in the early days, you have a job in disguise. You're working longer, harder And then you have the added stress of being 100% responsible and accountable for what you're doing. Whereas if you go to a job, you're still accountable, responsible, but you know to some degree that someone else is going to provide you with a wage. Whereas it's a different dynamics, and that's that's a challenging dynamics. So being in control of your time and managing your time is even more important, and especially if you're talking to solo entrepreneurs, like yourself, and one of the biggest growing demographics of solo entrepreneurs is women. And that brings a whole other level of challenges and complexities in the mix, because not only you're managing your business, you might be managing your children, your family, or if you're in a partnership, your partner, and all those dynamics. And then what I found that with a lot of people I've spoken to and some of my clients, they get to a point where they're caught in a hamster wheel. So they're working a lot, but they're not necessarily efficient or productive, and then they get stressed, they get burned out, and then there's guilt start popping in about I'm not spending enough time with my partner or my children, and the thing that they created to give them the freedom and the joy and the happiness is starting to become not so pleasurable.
Yes.
Yeah, but then by that time you've invested money, time, and you don't want to fail, right? Because that's not something we all want to do. We want to succeed, right? We've committed to this process. So how do we, from your side and my side, how do we help people? Well, another way, a tip and a strategy is to really understand where you're actually spending your time. If today we can only get away with one great tip, is to really, for people watching and listening to this, is have a look at where you're spending your time. We've established that we've got 168 hours a week. Now we spend a lot of that sleeping. That's just a natural human process, so depending on how much you need sleep, well, you need to book that time. Now you also need to book the time that you spent with your family, taking care of your life, and then you'll find that by the time you start running down the hours that you think that you've got available to run your business, and as not as much as what you thought. So then it becomes really important to also, within that process, I suggest anyone that hasn't done that or would like to do that, is for the next 2 weeks, record by hour where you spend your time.
How's the best way to do that? Because I think that we'll all get a bit of a rude shock how much time we spend doing things that aren't really productive.
So keep it simple. Use an Excel spreadsheet, 24 hours, 1 hour block, and print it out. And as you go about your day, take the time, classic time, to actually record where you're spending your time. Now, in my previous professional life, I managed really complex supply chains, and I've been involved in lean manufacturing. Just doing that alone for the business was incredible. I had a manager that basically you had to book in time to go and see him. So he had a calendar, and he only had certain hours during the day available, and you could not walk into his office. He still had an open door policy and stuff, but as a business, we understood that for him to do his job, he needed to actually spend time doing his job and not being interrupted with every single problem or stuff, and then create a system where empowerment to make decisions, where your level of authority, and then having meetings and structures where people were empowered to solve problems, early in the early part of the day. It sounds, simplistic, but it's a rather complex. But it starts off with the mindset of my time is really precious. My time is super important. And to me, time is my most precious resource. Now, do I waste time? Yes. Can I still improve my own personal efficiency? Yes. Do I have challenges? Yes. But I'm far more aware now than I've ever been how important time is.
Yeah.
And I've structured my business around that, because to me, it's one of the most valuable things that I have.
The one thing you mentioned there is putting that importance for yourself, respecting yourself and your time, because often we allow particularly as business owners, any call that comes through, right, we'll take it because it's a client, or it's a potential, it's customer service or whichever. But our days get interrupted so easily. So I really like that idea of, as a business owner, anyone, right, just being able to schedule in your time. If it's, I'm going to be reading time, this is my admin time, this is my checking email time,
Yep.
checking, and making call time.
It's cool having a structure. It's been in control. Now, this is what I do for myself. This is what I do for my clients as one of the techniques and tools. I get them to actually schedule their week, right? Do they follow that 100% of the time? No, because things happen, right? If there's a fire, you put it out. You can't just like, no, it's my whatever time. I can't. You need to be flexible. It's a guide. It's a way of thinking. It's supposed to be enjoyable and fun. It's not supposed to be that rigid that you start creating anxieties and complexities and guilt around. I was supposed to have done that today, but I didn't do it. No, it's a guide. It's a guide to get more structured, more in control. Like you said, in control of your time. So if you have me time, book in your me time. And, if you achieve your me time, 60, 70% of the time during the week, well, that's better than it was before.
Absolutely.
And I think you touch on a point that I like to raise is learn to say no. It's a quite, in solo entrepreneurs and in business, and especially when we get started and stuff like, we don't tend to say no. No to like the client that is wrong, right? You can manage that process, but no. Now, there's many ways of saying no, but it's still no. But saying no, it also needs to go back to what is important to you. Like you mentioned, family time and relationships. And so making sure that if your Saturday is your family day and is your day to spend with your time, with your friends and stuff, hold yourself to that, and say no to anything that might pop up. That is not an emergency. That's not a crisis. That doesn't need to be done today. Is your business going to fall over and crash if you don't answer that telephone call, or if you don't, or you might just acknowledge that, yes, I have received your call. I can't get to it, but I'll get to it as soon as possible. And sometimes that just doing that acknowledges that the other person says, I've been heard, I've been validated, and I just have to wait until Monday and Tuesday to get an answer. So there's always ways to manage those things. But I've seen one of the saddest stories is my own, where my parents used to work so many hours that they used to have a small business. They were absolutely, totally drained. And as a child, I didn't like Christmas, because Christmas came around and instead of being joyful and happy in a home, my parents had nothing left in the tank. Now, as a child, that was really hard to comprehend, and it's only as an adult and later on in life that you get to understand that. But that story, how true is that to so many people out there who by the time they get home, by the time they get into their into their relationships, their core relationship, the most important relationships they have, is they got nothing left in the tank to give. They're that worn out, stressed, tired, that the tank is empty. And if your tank is empty, it's really hard to give. You can't give from an empty cup. If you're a solo entrepreneur, if you're a busy mom, and you look into yourself and you go, damn, I'm tired. Damn, how am I gonna, and you keep going and you put on that smile and you put on that makeup and you put on that, that face. But deep down in your soul, how am I going to be able to do this? And that's challenging and that's tough. But there's little things, and if I can share anything from the heart, from the passion, it's the little things that one can do that can create so much change. It's even if you got 1 hour a day to spend on you, even half an hour, whatever it is, spend it on you, right? You know, so that you can actually recharge the tank and be reconnected to all the things that are important to you, because it will make other things easier. You'll sleep better at night. You know, you'll be happier. You know, the problems that you come across will be challenging, but you'll come with them from a different perspective. You know, the old saying that a problem is an opportunity in disguise. You've got opportunities within the way that you manage your time to increase your efficiencies. And you know, as we said, set your goals that are being time bound goals, so that you know that, you know, by such and such I'm supposed to have achieved X, Y, Z, and measure that performance. Have a look at where you're spending your time.
Yeah.
The 80-20 rule in a Proto analysis. Get some data that is applicable to your business, and have a look at where you're spending your time. Have a look at what services, what products are the most important, and have a look how you're getting the leads, and look at where you've been effective and efficient, and then trying to enhance that efficiency by either outsourcing some of it or touching to people like yourself, like ourselves, who can help you. And you know, the other thing too is celebrate your success. How many solo entrepreneurs do not celebrate the success and take time out to actually go, wow, that was, you know, I've achieved something. You know, just the fact that you create a business. You know, another saying, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? It's tough, but it can be extremely rewarding in terms of the lifestyle that you can create and the changes that you can put in place. And we all have families, we all have things, you know. The thing I love to see is when someone says to me, oh, Marc-Andre, thank you so much for creating that schedule. It's changed the way that I approach my business. It's allowed me to have more time, so I can actually not just work on my business, you know, the operational stuff, but now I can have time. I've set time to be strategic, to be tactical, to actually think about all the things that we just talked about and how I can make my business better. Because that time to me is the most valued time in business, because it's where you're going to grow your business. This is where you're going to find the new products, the new ideas, the new creative things that are going to take you from, you know, being, you know, an average business to a six-figure business to whatever, right? You know, I connect to the likes of Elon Musk, right? And I'm sure that he values his time, you know, and that he creates things in a way that he can do more with his time, you know, because he has such big dreams, right? And I think he's, you know, on the big pictures thing, he wants to go to Mars, right? And he wants to go to Mars before he's too old to actually go there himself. So, and that's just the extreme of time management and having a personal goal that is time bound. But yeah, just really have a look at your business and really focus, look inwards, spend the time, you know, to sharpen the saw. You can't chop down a tree with a blunt saw. And how do you sharpen the saw? You take time out. And it's that dichotomy of, I'm too busy. How do I stop? Well, the first thing you got to say no to a few things, right? You got to create the mindset to be able to go, right, is that important? It's important, but can I outsource it? Can I give it to people like yourself to manage and to grow? Right, so I'm freeing up 2 hours, 3 hours of my time. Right, what can I do with that time?
Yeah, and I'll share. I mean, I've been through the exact situation where I work till 2 in the morning. I wake up at 6, you know, and try to get some meditation and exercise in, and the kids wake up anyhow at that time, and then school pickups and all of that. And I was exhausted. I was doing everything on my own. I just felt like I was so stuck. But yeah, the whole point of saying no to things, because I used to be, I mean, I was a people pleaser. I'm a people pleaser, you know. And it's like, oh, I don't want to let them down, or yes, they've asked me this, so I really want to say yes to that. And it has been, for me, one of the challenges that I initially had was to push back and go, thank you very much, but I've got a few other priorities. I have other priorities at the moment. Not saying that I don't respect or appreciate what you're offering me. I have to prioritize my time. And I've gotten used to saying that I need to prioritize my time and my efforts, because I know that if I wear myself too thin and too thinly,
Yeah,
things I need to do, then I don't get things done.
absolutely. And that's challenging.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not suggesting that it's easy, but it started off with the mindset. It started off with the realization that if I can interpret what you're saying, that at some point you said, no, I can't continue doing this. This is not working for me. Something needs to change. Then, okay, so you had that moment, that thought bubble, and then you create a change around that. But how many people don't?
Yeah, I realized that I wasn't achieving what I was wanting to achieve. And then the feedback I got from obviously my loved ones and all was like, you're doing too much.
Yep.
Doing too much. And I go, well, often we take that as a badge of honor, that we do so much in our lives and everything else, And then I realized, no, I don't really want that, because particularly when my children came along, I'm like, I actually want to do less so that I can be I can be a better parent, I can be a better partner, I can be a better business owner, I can be a better entrepreneur, and a leader. And to do that, people need to be able to see that I'm in control. We go back to being in control, because I was out of control.
Yep.
I was saying yes, 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 yes to everything.
And it's the old catchphrase, working smarter, not necessarily harder. Yeah. Now, I have big goals. But I know that there is ways to achieve more by doing less. Right? And it starts off by really wanting to do it, and looking, and sometimes asking for help and reaching out and right, this is what I want to achieve. What can we do? How can we help? What can be done differently? And sometimes it's just, sometimes it can be the weirdest ideas out of left field, and you don't know until you don't know until you don't know. And in my career, I worked for a company that we ended up producing twice as much with the same amount of people in a reduced amount of space. Yeah. So we shrinked our footprint, the same people, yet we produced twice as much. And that's only achieved by looking at every single aspect of what you do. And how many businesses have such waste in their processes?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, the piece of paper goes from tray A to tray B to tray C. Well, why can't it go from, one thing to the other? What can you do in your processes, in your business, to really eliminate all the things that your customers don't really care about? Now, you care about the invoice. The customer doesn't particularly care. So do you have an invoicing system that is easy, streamlined, and more importantly, do you have a follow-up process to make sure that you get paid? Yeah. Right? Because, sometimes also people, they're rushed to do things, and then they end up doing it not so perfect, and have to go back and fix it. And it just sucks up so much time. I challenge anyone to actually record for the next 2 weeks where they spend their time. And for someone who hasn't done it, I'm thinking they'll be surprised by where they actually spend their time and what they actually time. How much time do you actually spend on Facebook looking at stuff that is not really relevant to your business, or stuff, right? Social media and other stuff. And there's so many stuff that we get caught up in that we just don't even realize how much time per week it's sucking up of our most precious resource. Now, as you said, you can continue to do that if that's what you want to do, right? But if you want to grow your business, if you want to be more efficient, if you want to have more quality time with your family, less stress, strongly suggest you have a look at where you spend your time, and put techniques around that to gain control. I think the key word here is control.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I'm just thinking in my head, like we all probably need one of those 5-day, 10-day challenges where we've got a group of people and we say, all right, here's your timesheet if you want to. Let's be accountable to each other and be really honest with each other and go, all right, fill out our sheets each day and how are we spending that time? And after that 10 days, go reflecting and, oh, this is what I was doing. And then I started shifting in it and how much that's impacted our productivity. But one of the things, and I really wanted to touch on before we start to sort of to wrap this up, Andre, is procrastination. Like, how do we combat procrastination? Because that is one of the main things that, even like if we identify what our time is and if we structure it in, there's always that, I'm going to be doing something else more enjoyable right
now. And well, for me, it's really having a process where for me, the way that I handle that, and I like I'm from a Latin background, so I like the afternoon siesta, right? I really love the afternoon siesta, right? But I used to love it so much that I used to enjoy it a little bit too much. And my partner said, well, here you are complaining that you're not achieving certain things in your business, but you're choosing to, having a siesta every day. Do you see where the problem is, right? So to stop that not taking action is to actually acknowledge that what you're doing and wanting to change. Now, and the way that other way that you can actually tackle that is to really understand what your goals are. And for some of my clients operate on key deliverables and key accountabilities and key goals. So they have some key data and they really measure each day. So for example, if you want to increase your sales, well, what's your current sales and where you want to go, and there's that gap. So how are you going to close that gap and break it down to daily, weekly and monthly activities? So if you're if you're into the organic marketing, well, you need to create some post. You need to so you set yourself, do I post daily, weekly, or whatever the strategy is for you? But then you have accountabilities on a daily basis that stop you from not taking the action. So for example, if you're supposed to do a post today and you haven't done one, well, that means that tomorrow you need to do 2 posts. And it's about understanding. I'm very much about, it's very important to measure stuff. So one of the things is if you're not keeping score, you're not in the game. So whatever it is that you need to do on a daily basis, and I take the example of the pizza shop, right? The pizza shop, to make a profit, needs to sell 100 pizzas per day. Today they sold 80. There's a gap of 20. So what are you going to do tomorrow to sell 120 pizzas? And by understanding that fundamental number and that fundamental goal that relates back to your goals and your aspirations, it drives you to take action. So, are you going to do a promo? Are you going to reach out to your database? Are you going to create a new pizza? Are you going to promote it? There's 100,000 ways that you can do something. But first is knowing, and knowing why taking action is important. People, I have a difficulty pronouncing that word. What did you? Not taking action. Why do people do not take action?
Procrastination.
That's it. That one, right? It's because they don't really connect that not taking action is going to stop them from achieving their why, whatever the why is. If your why is big enough and powerful enough to touch into your inner soul, you're not going to stop taking action.
And this is a good example, and again, none of us are immune to procrastination, because it's often, whether it's TV or something else, we would rather do something that's a little bit more enjoyable than the actual task.
Yep.
Often it's a time consuming task or whatever. And so one of the strategies I use, it is, because you don't want to feel the guilt, because often when you procrastinate, you do feel guilty, is that idea of, first of all, if it's your business, like, what is the impact if I don't do this? Will it impact when I get paid? Will it impact revenue? If it's a revenue, if that's going to impact revenue, then you better get your butt up, push that thing that you're wanting to do, and prefer to have done, and just say, I need to do this. I just need to do this. It's not just for me. It's for my business. It's for my client. And when you've put someone else's needs ahead of yours, and this is a strategy I've used, someone else's needs ahead of yours, then it becomes, all right, I need to do this. I just need to bite the bullet, eat that frog, and get it done.
Yep. And also, if you get to a point where you created and you outsource all the things that you don't like doing, then you're left with the stuff that you really enjoy, right? So most people don't do things because they don't see either the the immediate there's a fear, there's a pain, there's something associated with it that stops them from taking action, right? And you're going back to reconnecting. So the other thing, as I mentioned, is reconnecting your why, like you just mentioned. If I don't do this, my goal or my objective is going to be even further away than what it is. So you get motivated, and then but if it's a really enjoyable action, you tend to do it.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. It's the first
So
thing to do, so that's mature.
the other thing that I, in terms of managing time, is have 3 buckets: the things that you need to do, things that you could outsource, and the things that you like to do more of. And it's the key thing of transferring things from one bucket to the other. So you get to, the ideal business is where you have a business, but you're not necessarily working day to day in that business. That, to me, is what the business is, right? Where you're the entrepreneur, you have a business, but you have a team that manages the process, and you're out doing the things that you like doing, right? Traveling the world, spending the money, enjoying reading books, all that stuff. That, to me, is a true business. Where you get, your fruits of your labor, right? And you move to the different quadrants. But to get there, first you need to understand how to get there, and it's a step, right? So I've got one of my clients. He wanted to double his business, and I said, well, what's your goal? He says, in 5 years' times, I want to do X, Y, Z. I said, well, what about doing it in 3 years? And then there was like, well, how can we do that? Well, we can do that by just taking more action, moving faster, being more accountable, having different strategies. And he went, right, so I can actually do that in 3 instead of 5. You just gained 2 years, right? Yeah. And at this stage, he's well on the way to get there even faster than that. Because whatever happened, something unlocked. And now the why, his why is really powerful for him. So he really connected to his why, and then he's put all these actions to make things happen. Now, I'm sure that we all have days where we need to sit on the couch, and there's nothing wrong with taking a day to sit on the couch, right? Because sometimes that's the most important thing that you need to do, to just chill and to recharge the batteries. But you also need to be accountable. Then the next day, you need to do twice as much to catch up for the things that you haven't done, right? Or to restructure your time to be that effective. It's not about making it more complex. It's not about making it less enjoyable. On the contrary, it's to, as we said, control your time so you can create more enjoyment, more pleasure. Outsource the stuff that you don't like doing, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur that actually afford it and have the revenue to do it. Why would you do it?
Yeah.
Why? It's far more cost effective to outsource it, get someone else to do it free up your time so you can actually work on your business and be even more effective, more productive, less stress, more enjoyment, more pleasure. And it's about doing the small little things. And if you used to not take a lot of action, and you're starting to take a lot more action, and you're really connected with this conversation, Cheryl, that we've had, and you've got some little gold nuggets out of it, and you're taking action, celebrate that. Absolutely. Because that could totally change your business. Just the fact that you're even thinking about it and taking some action and go, right, I can choose to my business controlling me, or I can choose to control my business. If I choose to control my business, right, what can I do? We talked about goal, making goals bound, keeping tracks of your, how you're tracking on a daily basis, and things that are important for the business, making sure that you focus on, the most important part of your business, learning to say no and valuing your time. Start doing those things. Start doing and have little increments, 2 to 5% change that are cumulative over time can add thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, to any business. But it also can save you time. Yeah. And make that time more enjoyable, less stressful, and far more effective.
And so as part of Release for Life, Marc-Andre, I know that you offer business owners sort of a review of their business.
Yeah.
Been able to identify, not only time saving, cost savings, but revenue generating things in people's businesses as well. So I'd love for anyone who's watching, that's listening, that wants to be able to take control of your time, talk to Marc-Andre, have a review, because there's nothing to lose really. If you want to take 2021 and your business to the next level and really make it a huge success, we've got to be accountable for what you're doing in your business in your time, and then identify like where there are areas that you should just be focusing on, and the other things that you may need to delegate or outsource. And if you want to talk about outsourcing, we've got amazing virtual assistants, virtual champions. Have a chat to us, but look at your business, really take time to sit down and assess, review what went well in 2020, what went well, what would you like to do differently? So you don't,
100%. And typically my review, I identify at least 50K or more.
Yeah.
And today, that's been true. Actually, in some businesses, been even far more than that. And it's about asking those questions and getting that thought bubble like you had when you I can't continue doing this, from myself, from the fact that my cup is empty. And if my cup is empty, I can't give to my children, to my partner, to myself, to my business, and learning to make sure that our cup is as full as possible. And from that point of strength, empowerment, we can then be in better control. 2021 is going to be a challenging year. So, that's just the nature of our time, right? Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So it's best to approach that from a power of empowerment and strength, rather than in the point of being reactionary to whatever's going on, right? Yeah. And that, as you said, I'm here to help people, and I maybe people felt that I'm very passionate about time. Yeah. Because to me, it's
should be.
Yeah.
Because we all have the same amount of time. It's how we are making the best use of it. And I know it's been life changing for me. These small little incremental things where it's a mindset and respecting my time and respecting the time and saying this is work time, this is my time for my children. The more that I did that and was actually in the moment, not multitasking as well. So multitasking is another thing, but I'm sure we could talk about that.
It's a tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
But what you just described, just if anyone's listening, just doing that alone, that weekly schedule where you set out your schedule, you set out your time, you understand what is important for your business, and you plan it out and adhere to it as much as possible, and be flexible to acknowledge that sometimes it's not going to be quite that, but aim for it and improve it and gain those little increments. And an hour, if you save an hour in your business, that's an hour saved. Now, if you save more than that, that's even better, and it grows and grows and grows. And the people all around you, correct me if I'm wrong, the people, didn't they appreciate you when you changed more? Didn't they?
My family, particularly with my family, I mean, my children, they don't see me stressed anymore, or very, very, very seldom. And there's ways that I manage that as well. I think we need to talk about that in another session, because I know that there's a lot to cover in that. But when I'm with them, and they also remind me, Mummy, just put your phone down. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're very right. I'm putting my phone down. And for my husband, like on the weekends, literally, sometimes I just leave my phone in a spot that I don't touch, because I want to be absolutely present with them. And so I think that's really important for us in that sense, to have that control over the things that we're doing, time and the things that we're doing.
And I would bet, if I was a betting man, that not only your quality of your time and your personal time, as you describe, so, like I'm connecting to that, right? But your business also benefited.
Yeah.
And how valuable is that?
Oh,
I mean, how much money do you put on the time that you spend with your kids, and seeing them smile and interacting with you? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I don't know about you, but that's what I do things. I do things because it makes me happy, it makes me smile. And I want to do more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I'd love for anyone who's resonating with the things that we've spoken about today, please reach out. Marc-Andre, your website.
Or they can reach me, they can look me up on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and just reach out and just have a chat.
Yeah.
Now, the review is 100% free, right? There's no obligation. We just have a chat and take it from there. And for the people that choose to work with me, well, that's great. But no matter what happens, you'll walk away with a couple of great ideas and some gems.
I love it. Thank you. I reckon I'll take that up, definitely. Thank you, Andre. It's been absolutely wonderful. I'm wishing you the very, very best for an amazing 2021. I think there were definitely some great nuggets in there. For those goal setting, look, have a chat to Marc-Andre. You've got nothing to lose in terms of really assessing where your business is at and how you can do less, achieve more.
Absolutely, 100%. And take the time out to connect to people, right? We connected through Facebook, and we just, we took the time to have a chat, and here we are. We're having a conversation that helps others, and that to me is extremely important and valuable time.
It certainly is. Thank you, Marc-Andre. I'm looking forward to catching up with you again, and all those out there. Any comments? I've put in the email. The website, releaseforlifecoaching.com. Have a look at it. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for your time.
Enjoy.
Really appreciate it. And thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And it's been my pleasure. Thanks, Marc-Andre. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.